I'm showing how matzo balls are made.
And top as well. Just Is it all right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
Now, right, now everybody will know.
Camera.
Everybody will now know how matzo balls are made.
It's boiling.
It's not boiling. Soup's gonna spill over.
There's a close-up of the soup spilling over.
It's a burn the dough.
The resemblance is uncanny.
Yeah?
The resemblance is uncanny.
Not even there.
It's not boiling.
I have the wine, and now I'm going to bring some out to Abe.
Right.
Oh, it doesn't want wine.
Abe doesn't want
No,
that?
Abe, another drink.
Oh, they drink
They want
something else. Oh.
Is that too much?
Did he speak to you too?
Yes, he
Yes.
did. The, what's his name again?
Wittenberg,
That's,
Donald Wittenberg.
Yeah, Wittenberg, right.
You know,
Excuse me.
He spoke to you, didn't he?
he's a school teacher. He lives in Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's right.
He's working on in the summer.
On that book?
And he doesn't. Yeah, you can put it.
No.
No, it's at least half an hour.
I know, but what time did you tell them to come?
I didn't tell him.
Didn't have people like the Licker Rebbe and the Bayona and all those other branches. What was your mother's family? Wasn't she a Rebbe's daughter?
Oh, you have to put it in a plate.
Did you ask them here, Irvine?
Wasn't
What?
Sima a Rebbe's daughter? Your mother?
Simi's named after my mother.
No, your mother. Wasn't she the daughter of a Rebbe?
Yes.
Which one?
She's from Chichelnik.
What was the name of her?
Chichelnik Rebbe.
What's it?
Yeah, it was very close. Oh,
Like
I'm
who's buried
talking.
in Grant's tomb?
I wonder why you don't know. It was close to Tushin. And I said,
I should
and
know.
then I was thinking, couple of nights, I don't know, seeing your mother and Tante Heike, I guess they're waiting for me.
Well, you know, we think a lot about people who are gone. I do.
Congola.
That's why I guess I dream about it, but then I think maybe it's a little missing.
Congola.
Yes.
Did you eat up the raspberries?
I have to glance at the cab driver's name, and it was a little familiar. She knows an unusual name. It was Walensky. Walensky. Now, it turned out that during the mid-40s, early 40s, mid-40s, we had a young kid from Newfoundland who lived with us. He was being boarded there. His name was Sherwin Walensky. And he left, he became ultra-Orthodox, he became a Yeshiva Buchanai.
I remember.
Yeah, sure. So she said to him, you know, it's strange, you know, your name isn't that common, but we knew Walensky, and they started talking to her, and he was the guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but then no contact for 40 years.
Wow.
Turned out he was a guy, he'd gone somewhere off to Yeshiva and he got married and he had kids and he was ultra-Orthodox and he'd moved back to New York and was driving a cab because that way he could make his own hours and be home for the services and all that. The same fellow, the one who grew up in our house.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
He said he do everything to one person, Chaim Schneider.
Yeah, he mentioned my father, right.
What a
Yeah, this is about a month ago. Yeah.
Yes.
Is that thing working?
I don't know.
Humanity.
There would be a red light on somewhere if it were.
I know because, I used to go to the movies.
Yeah, right. Once in a while.
And I came out from the movies and I was waiting, somebody went into the bathroom and we didn't go on. There was people standing, talking so loud that I heard every word. That was Avi Schwamm's relative.
Oh, really?
And they said so many things. And then in the morning, I saw Lou and I said, I saw one of your relatives who were talking so loud, they were talking about this and that. She said, my God, I didn't know that. It was a
Right, here,
secret.
let me see that.
I think it's going.
It's on. The red light's on.
Yeah, it's rolling. What does it focus itself now?
Yeah, it's automatic.
Is that why it's moving back and forth?
Yeah.
Is it too far away for the sound?
No, I don't think so. We found, my father and mother left some things for us. I found two teacup glass holders that had,
Oh, it's silver inside.
yes,
Yeah, the glass.
but they belonged to Benjamin, Mima's husband. And they have his initial on it. Well, what was his last name?
Oh, Benny died when I came to the
Yeah.
States, 1927.
What was his last name? Do you remember?
Benny,
Because I don't know what it was. I don't know.
I can't.
Well, maybe it'll come to. When did you go to Cuba with Mima?
Huh?
When did you go to Cuba with Mima?
That was in 31.
31. Was
I don't think I had just the first, maybe more, because I had just my first paper.
Uh-huh.
Not yet the second. I didn't take out the second paper, but just the first. The latest.
Why did you?
Norman was in 29.
No, who?
You don't know.
No, what was he born? No, 21.
In 21. Who was born in 29?
Bernie.
In your family?
Bernie.
Oh, Bernie.
Yeah.
That was the time Bernie, Jay, and somebody else. And Luchi Zalvis.
Uh-huh.
But they all the same? Jay Schwan? Jay Schwan?
Jay Schwab. And Bernie, yeah, that was in 29.
Uh-huh. Right.
So I went after, must be 30.
Well, how'd you happen to go? What was the reason for it?
With me
Yeah, why'd you go? Was Booker there already?
We were just like you were.
Yeah, was Booker there yet?
Yeah.
Oh, he was there.
Booker and Sonia was alive. Matter of fact, Sonia had, she was pregnant when
Yeah.
I left. And
With Sonia?
with Sonia,
Yeah. Oh, so you went to visit Booker?
I think it was in 31.
Yeah.
But she didn't give birth yet.
Uh-huh. And when did Benny die?
He died when I came 1927, he was dead.
Uh-huh.
I never saw.
Oh,
Ma, Irving asked you, why did you go to Cuba?
Moshe was there.
oh,
He lived with Putin.
in Cuba? Oh,
She had one, two, four people that lived there.
Why did they live there?
Because they needed the money.
No, but why couldn't they?
Everybody was rich, and they had plenty of rooms. They had a big apartment.
No, but why did Daddy and
Daddy went to Cuba because he wanted to smuggle into Canada. He should be able to come back. So they caught him on the son is not that he wanted to just ask him for papers. Of course, he didn't have.
But wait a minute,
what was
there-
the reason for it? Because he couldn't become a citizen, or
He came just as a visitor. And he got married.
from Russia, from Romania, or from Belgium?
And then in Cuba started a revolution, and every other week was a revolution, and he
in
couldn't.
what years was this?
1930,
31,
31.
There were a lot of Russian Jews in Cuba. My grandfather.
Yeah, but the
No,
reason
it wasn't a question of the Jews.
it was a
Really?
question. It was a question of the national origin rule, I guess.
yeah.
They had a quota of how many people
I
from.
think there were a lot of Russian Jews there,
Oh,
because
there
my
were, sure.
grandfather spoke Spanish
Sure.
because he learned it in Cuba,
Oh, no,
my
sure.
father's father.
And,
They
no, our
spoke
uncle.
Spanish there.
Our uncle was the leader of the Jewish
I
community
learned
in
Yeah,
Cuba.
there were a lot of
Spanish
Jews in
in
Cuba at
Cuba.
that time, and then my
But
grandfather.
Misha wanted to go from Cuba to Canada?
No, he wanted to go to Canada and come back to the States.
Yeah.
He thought he'd go this way and come back this way.
Well, he thought he'd become a citizen of the United
He
States.
couldn't. He came just as a visitor.
No.
In 1927, your father, he asked him as a visitor. Uncle Dooley, I think, sent him there.
Right.
And he came as a visitor, and we got married. And after past a year, he had to go back.
But if you were a citizen of the United States,
I wasn't a citizen.
oh, you weren't a citizen yet.
And I had to wait. I had just the first paper, that's
So
what
the
I
reason that they went to Cuba is
So
so
he
they.
went to Cuba and he thought when I become a citizen I'll be able. But then the time was very bad there.
Oh, I see.
So he went to,
So
They went to-
what most people would do then, instead of going back to Europe, they would wait in Cuba until their citizenship would come up,
yeah.
or they had the
But
opportunity.
then was.
Another revolution in Cuba, or?
So he went, we won in then before too.
Yes, yeah, okay.
When did you leave Russia?
When I leave Russia was in 1918.
1918?
Your father left before us.
But no,
When
he
he
didn't come here,
came to
till
Swartz.
1921. He didn't come here till 1921.
I know when he was born. No, I forgot that.
Yeah, and right, he was born
she
a
was
couple of months,
quite big.
yeah, a couple of months after they got here.
Yeah. He and Nuchi, always the same age.
Yeah,
Which no,
Nuchi Dooley.
yeah, Nick Toner.
oh, Nick Tolman?
Yeah, they used to play, they were friends when they were very young.
Oh, is that right?
You know, my brother and them,
Yeah.
you know. But you left Russia in 1918
Yeah.
and went where?
We went to Romania.
Now, did anyone,
We lived in Soroka most of the time. And then catching I went for probation. Offended. And then we went to Belgium in 1925.
so you stayed in Romania from 1918 to 1925?
7 years.
And were my father and mother in
Was your
Romania?
father and mother
To
were
Romania.
A matter of fact, we took over his apartment.
Oh. In 1921, you mean when they left, 1920?
1921. Yeah, before no.
You took their apartment?
Huh?
You took their apartment? Uh-huh.
We took over their apartment
Where was that, in what city?
in Soroka.
Soroka? Yeah. The borders there are very fluid, and they keep
It's
changing.
not far from Bells, you're
Yeah, yeah.
state of
State
Bells.
of-
My state labels, yeah. They're very fluid there.
They're constantly, yeah,
Yeah,
constantly.
yeah. Like the Tolchina, that area is very close to a section of Romania where, and actually under the Nazis, I think they grouped it all together under one
Maybe
district.
you go upstairs in there. Hey, maybe you sit in the
No, he's
shade.
fine, leave him, he's fine.
But let me,
You don't have to search at you.
No, I can't put him
but
down.
Mike, when you went to Romania, did anyone stay behind in Tolchin? Was there anyone still there
I mean,
from the family?
The family, Tante Suki, brothers. Then we met in Israel.
In Israel?
Their a sister and our husband. You know the one that was in Philadelphia, the surgical doctor.
Yeah, yeah,
That their son.
yeah.
I saw them.
But did anybody from your family stay behind in Tolchin?
My family, no.
No.
They left, we lived in a desert for
Yeah.
while, where your father and mother got married.
Yeah.
And that time, my brother still just cheerful went away back to Poland. And there he was killed. And my brother was killed in Germany, near,
But when were they killed?
it's
With Hitler or?
with Hitler. And then, that's it.
Just the two brothers stayed and the rest left?
And the rest went. Itze got sick because no, his father. No, it's
Yeah.
Zelda's
Yeah,
first husband.
Zelda's husband.
But he came to America, didn't he?
He came to the States, but he came really because he was hiding in a kettle. There was a baptized.
Oh, yeah, okay.
There wasn't, we were the only one that had a baptized.
In the whole town?
And maybe somebody else from the very, very rich, but mostly you went, and when they had to go to the liquid, they went to the baptized.
Didn't Heike stay in Russia, right?
Heike was left.
And what happened to the house?
Heike wasn't left. She belonged again to Russia, but she was in Romania. That time was separate. Then
What happened to the house when everybody left?
they took it away just as we moved away. They took it for hospital.
Who did the
The
Reds?
government.
Yeah, the government.
Company.
I mean, it was that big? How big was it?
There was, first of all, was 2 houses, I told you, for Marshall and Dewey. And then there was there so many rooms. First of all, was a big shul.
Yeah. How big?
Very big, was for men and women. Was
Yeah.
quite a large,
Was it like a temple here?
very large. And
How-
then we had
How many
a big
people?
room too, just for the lamps to clean.
Just for how many people would sit in the shul?
It used to be, I never counted,
Yeah.
but when I know they used to make 2 sickets, 2 outside sickets, except that we had in the house a sicket. You
What
know,
would it be?
that opened
Yeah.
the,
Would it be 100 people or 1,000 people? Or?
no, not 1,000, but 80.
And that was every day.
This is for the sukkah or for the shul?
For the shul, you mean? Or
For
the...
the sukkah or for the shul was 80 people?
I don't think that every day we eat, but when it came the entire year.
For Rosh Hashanah, Yom
The
Kippur,
festival came a lot of singing.
Because,
Yeah.
yeah, from other cities.
You know, the city one was studying for a shochet. He stayed in our house, and then was learning for a rabbi or for a who stayed in our house because they couldn't afford to.
but in the shul itself, like how many for Yom Kippur or Rosh Hashanah? Did you have 200 people or 100 people?
About 100 people. And women was right next was another one. And then on the side was a room for the boys. And then upstairs, we had upstairs, to go upstairs. So there was Tante Peggy, Heike and I,
You had your own
the
room?
girls, we had a bed.
You slept in one room?
Huh?
Did you all sleep in the same room?
No, we had almost 3 beds.
How many bedrooms in the house?
I
About.
forgot for the boys, we were so many boys.
Yeah.
Probably better at that time.
About 10 bedrooms.
Was it so many?
Yeah. And what was your
Was
room?
you, I'll never forget, I came from school, I was in a place, so somebody from school brought me home. You know, we wore uniforms, so you didn't know if you have a little money or you haven't got. So he looked at the house and he said, "You live here, or your people are working?" I said, "No, I don't."
Was it the...
First of all was a river, you know, to pass. And were too close to your gates. We had big gates that you had to open to come in. And from both sides was trees, beautiful trees. And past was vegetable. You don't know all the vegetables that exist here. And then was for 2003 fruit trees, apple and pears. I know there was one tree of apple that nobody ate, that we got ready. For the right.
Was the estate as big like Stepping Stone Park or bigger?
I don't know, was tremendous. I
Like
really,
what? In the round?
and the back was so beautiful. I tell you that you could hide there. A matter of fact, in the times of the pogroms, a lot of people came to hide in our house.
In the house or in the garden?
And the
Outside?
outside they could in the, but at night they went into sleep.
If you could describe, would you say it was
But
as
I
big as...
know that when you ran out, went between the trees, you couldn't find.
But was like as big as maybe Stepping Stone Park, the whole...
I
You don't know.
can't tell you, I was very thin there. I don't know how big it is, but it was, I guess, they made a hospital.
What did your room look like?
Huh?
What did your room look like? What did you have in your room?
A bed,
Yeah.
and a desk for the tea. I was the only one that went to school, because before we had to go on Saturday, because I couldn't. So then my father got a permission for me. I was the only person that didn't go
On Saturday?
to school on Saturday.
So you mean my mother didn't go to school there?
They had teachers, so
It came to the house?
came to the house.
Tutors.
Teachers for the Hebrew, for the Russian.
Was everybody in your school Jewish?
Was a lot of Jews.
Not everybody.
Not everybody. First of all, it was a time that we had to pay for people being for Russian. I paid we paid their tuition. So I paid for a Gentile too, for myself. Had to pay. Being a Jew, you had to have money.
I mean, just because you were Jewish, you had to pay double? Or a Gentile didn't have to pay?
I don't know what they did with the money, but we had to pay double.
Oh, you had to pay double.
Well, but,
You have one of Shmuel Lechem's books that he tells about that. And a matter of fact, he said that one, the Jew had all the eyes smart, but was a 5, start from 1 to 5. And the other one was a very poor, and they changed, did you read about that? They changed the papers to see what, so the one with the eyes, but he was a Jew. I mean, he was a Gentile, but he changed it. Couldn't go any place.
yeah. But let me ask you again about the house. Your room, for example, had a bed in it?
We were upstairs.
Yeah.
We had to go upstairs. So we had like 3 bedrooms. They weren't too large. But I had a bed and a
Was
desk
it as
and
big
a
as the
chair.
room you have now?
Huh?
Was it as big as the room you have now, that you sleep in now?
I think so, not smaller. I never small.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Oh,
you
you saw?
no, I didn't see it. No. So you had a bed and a cabinet,
Yeah, closet.
and where would you wash up?
We had, what do you call it?
Wash basin?
We had a bed, a running, but that was in the back of the kitchen.
Uh-huh.
We had 2 kitchens too.
Mhm.
Oh, you had a wash basin in your
A
room?
wash basin.
Oh, so you bring up the water?
We had a man that, the only thing that he did is bringing water to the house, making the summer bar and cleaning the lamps. We didn't have electric. So lamp, kerosene.
Yeah. Clean the globe,
Yeah.
They had to clean so many glasses that
Yeah, right.
it wasn't. Did you ever see them?
Yeah, I've seen some of them,
And
they turn
then-
black.
Huh?
They turn black very quick because of the kerosene.
Yeah, the kerosene. And then he did in the winter, we had, how do you call it, like a hole, and you put in there coal or time of the, when it was ready to go on the board. So we had was from the, what do you
Oh, like
call it?
charcoal?
Was, you eat it too. The
Nuts?
shells of it we used to.
Oh, from the nuts?
You know the small black one, what do you call it?
Walnuts? No.
That you
Chestnuts?
used to-
No, she's talking about Channing.
They grow on the
Janus?
sun. Yeah,
Sunflowers?
yeah, sunflowers, you know.
Oh, the seeds?
Oh, they were the big flower and in
No, but we used to
the seeds in the middle?
eat in that time bread in the war, we used to eat with the shells of
Yes,
that.
right.
Yeah. Oh, and then they used to burn the,
The oven got very warm. That reminds me that, no, that was another.
the summer bar that you said you had, that the man took care of the summer bar. How big was it? It was just water?
It was tremendous. First of all, was so many strange people, and we were a big family too.
Mhm. So you,
Even Uncle Dorn and Uncle Marshall lived there, 2 houses that
you built separate
your
houses
grandfather
on the
built
grounds?
for them.
Yeah. Right, so you had those 2
Santa
houses.
Lucia had 4 or 5 homes.
Did they
And
build
Uncle
those houses
Moshe-
new, or
And Uncle Bill was 6, so.
they built those houses new, or they were already there?
My father, when Uncle Bill got married, he built in Mass, and then after when Uncle Moshe got married, he built for it. And Ziska never, from Boston, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got married to Helen.
Who?
And Helen, there was in Poland. The Helen and a woman, you know, they speak about it.
Well, I don't know, what is that?
They wrote about the war. They used to call Helen and a woman, but they were exceptionally smart.
Yeah.
He married a roof, you know, biggest roof, his daughter. And then the time of the war, the beginning of the war, she died. So he came back to us.
This was World War One.
So Ziska,
Born.
yeah, Ziska married 2 times?
The
Ziska got married twice?
Ziska, she was the second one.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. She was from Romania when we moved there.
Oh,
She was a wolf's daughter too.
oh,
Did they have any children?
the first one?
Vittori was maybe 3 months
Oh,
No.
or not, very short while. Then he came and he went with your grandfather to Kiev, and there were my father died.
when did he die?
He
1920?
died in Kiev
Maybe 1920?
in the beginning of the war.
14 maybe.
Or 14?
Yeah. Maybe around
No, in the
1914.
beginning of the war,
Yeah.
15. I was
1914,
very
something
young,
like that.
Oh.
Yeah.
15 or maybe 4.
So he left Tulchina before you left?
Ziska.
Your father, you said your father died
My father died before.
in Tulchina.
He died in Kiev, but we lived still in Tulchina.
They remained there.
He went with, I think to the doctor, but I don't even remember the time then why they went to Kiev.
You had kerosene lamps in your room, right? You had kerosene lamps in your room.
And all the rooms.
And that one
And the
man,
shul in that room was like a hole in the wall, was built that way. And that's what gave the eat for the house.
when you were in school, Ma, when you went to high school, right?
Yeah,
I mean, what did you learn? What courses did you take?
everything.
I mean, but was it one teacher taught everything? Or you
No,
went 1 hour for one, how did that?
no, everybody has a specialty. Like English here, we had the Russian. And math was math. Matter of fact, we had a Chinese teacher. I don't know.
Chinese?
He was a Chinese teacher. We were not far from China.
Maybe Mongol or Asian, yeah, Asian.
So he taught them, my Jewish name is Hannah. And my eyes, he said, he taught them Chinese
With
too.
you? No.
It was very nice in the beginning.
My mother used to talk about going to the opera or something in Odessa.
That was in the desert.
Did you go to?
Yeah, when your father was how old, like 5 or 6 years. Your father died.
He got them.
Sick, yeah.
This was when?
Always very good.
They were-
They're the biggest cancer. I know.
Where were they married?
They got married in Kiev too.
In Kiev. Uh-huh.
And yeah, in Kiev.
Mhm.
Pushkin.
Pushkin's.
from
Yes.
the right of the
Yeah.
airport.
But did you go to Kiev
There
or
was a farm not far from them. We used to go that time to the farm because we used to play the organ.
Mhm.
It was a big and was just a block away from your father and mother daughters.
A reformed shul? Did you say
No, no,
a
no.
reformed shul?
That was a farm.
It wasn't orthodox?
I mean, there was plenty of other shows in
Oh,
here.
but this
But
one?
they were just a block away in the music. It was very big campus. And they used the organ and everything that required.
Mhm.
So they used to do it.
Did your father go to the wedding? Oh, he was
No,
there.
not father.
He was dead. He was dead.
Well, what about your mother?
My mother didn't go there either.
Did you go to the wedding? The wedding?
Yes, of course.
I don't think the wedding was there. I think it was just near them.
We
Oh.
lived in Kiev too.
You didn't
No,
live
it
in
was in
Odessa?
Odessa, wasn't it?
Odessa. Oh.
It was Odessa.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't Kiev.
I'm talking about Kiev because we were talking that grandpa died.
Yeah.
Did you go to when you were young? Did you go to Kiev or Odessa for trips, or did you visit there?
For trips we didn't, but we didn't go by ourselves. And we stayed on.
Mhm.
First of all, it was very strict when we went to school. Like we couldn't be seen in the street after night. In the summer. In the winter, thing was 8 after that.
Yeah.
Quite a few.
Whose rule was that?
Huh?
Whose rules for that? Was that because of your parents or because of the school?
No, because of school.
Oh, school.
We weren't allowed to.
Yeah. And you walked to school from your house? You walked?
No, was far. I told you.
You were outside of town. You lived outside of
We used to
town.
have horses.
Horses.
That took me. Sometimes I walked because I loved to have.
I mean, would the horse pull a wagon or?
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
wagon.
Yeah. Okay. You didn't ride a horse. You didn't ride on a horse.
Yeah, I knew one,
No, you didn't.
but I didn't like it.
Did your parents have a lot of horses?
We had a few. We had our own cow, chickens. We made our own butter.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Who did the cooking?
Huh?
Who did the cooking?
No, we had that people.
Yeah, people do the cooking.
Everything was somebody that just the shopping did. And he paid, like money. Somebody always did.
Who managed the money?
I said we had one person.
Who took care of the money?
Shopping and alcohol.
Right.
Your father gave him the money?
I guess so. I didn't.
You weren't rich yourself.
It was a man?
Man did all the
He
shopping?
lived not far.
Well, what did your mother do? How did she?
She didn't do much. She had a servant to us for herself. She didn't even give us the breast. We had
Yeah,
a,
nurse, wet nurse
we had somebody that
gave you the breast. Yeah.
I had one. I don't remember your mother. Because it's a few years to be
Yeah,
apart.
right. Yeah.
Was hiker by no hiking and it's and and the difference between me just the last one was a bit different. I and Itzik were years apart. And then Aaron was almost 7.
He came very late, yeah.
Was the last.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, she didn't expect, right?
So
She was together with Dad. They
yeah.
were born,
Was there anybody born in between you and Aaron? No other?
Aaron was the young.
No, but was anybody after you beside Aaron?
No.
So you were the baby
But
for 7
I
years.
was the baby for 7 years, and then Aaron came.
Aaron didn't go to school. Oh, no, you left Russia.
He left Russia, he went to school.
In Russia?
No, Russia didn't.
No.
He left, he was very young. I don't think he was here, but I think he was in Soroka with us.
Did Uncle Chaim go to the same school in Tulchina that you did?
Oh,
Uncle
yeah.
Chaim.
My father,
Irvine's father, Chaim. Did he
He's
go?
so much older than I don't
do you know
remember.
where he went to school?
I think he had that private teacher too. Booker was the only one, I think, that
He was
went to
educated.
school and went to college.
Yeah. My father said that
You remember Booker?
Sure.
my father said that his family had a big house in.
Oh, they had a very big house.
Mhm.
Beautiful house.
In Tulchina?
Yeah.
With what?
Probably little cheap.
Yeah.
With what? Well, what kind of
Yeah,
house?
two flights up. As a matter of fact, they rent a lot of things in their rooms. They had a very big house. Was a dancing, all and he used to dance here.
Is that right?
I think he should go upstairs like that. I'll go all.
You know, you do better lying on the floor. In fact, if you lie on the floor and put your feet up on something like this, that works
To
very well.
why?
It's very good for the back.
You know, it's very hard to put the feet too wide. I always had to elevate my feet, but
Uh,
when it's too wide,
yeah.
What business was your father's parent?
My father said it was a leather factory that his father had.
yeah, they had the leather thing.
And they had a dance floor in the house? A dance?
In the house was tremendous at us.
Sort of a ballroom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody told me who visited Tulchin in the
You named after your grandfather.
who
So-
visited Tulchin in 1960 or so, was told that there was a house there still called the Schneider House.
Is that right?
Yeah. Where they,
The town is still, I guess it's still exists.
Bush met somebody in Tokyo. He went for vacation, he met somebody that not from Cochin, from, they lived in Eastern Park.
yeah. So, you grew up in this big house, and you went to school, but the others did not. My mother didn't, but
No.
she studied.
Academic,
Yeah. Yeah.
because that time they couldn't get permission, but they had a teacher that used to come. So the boys had teachers too. And when we were in Jewish school, they had a teacher too.
Did you spend much time with your mother or your father? Or were they busy doing?
With my mother spent a lot of time, but with my father, first of all, it was a lot of away from the house. And then he was too busy anymore.
Yeah. Did he travel a lot?
And then the only time we spent was Hanukkah playing Hitler,
Yeah.
and then the holidays we
Mhm.
were together.
Uh-huh.
We didn't sit at the same table, but it was two big tables to shul. So one was sitting in the end, and the other one was sitting over there. We always sat in others'
Yeah.
church.
They're always right, always people coming to Hasidim.
People come.
Yeah. So you never sat at the same table as your father? Yeah.
Only, I don't even know, only Hanukkah.
Yeah, right.
Did Did your mother or your father ever play with you as a baby or as a child?
Yeah, but I said when we played
Cards.
Twizzler,
Oh,
Connie.
really? But I mean, beside that, did they ever play
Oh, play
like you play with children or any, did you see, any of the children they put no?
we didn't play ball outside.
No, I mean, just like fool around or.
Yeah, I know.
So you really didn't know your father very well?
One time was before Pesach, and they sent, you always had a lot of wine because it was a lot of people. So one was not far from his bedroom, a little room was there. So I opened, put up my knife. The wine was very good till I got one. I think that time we were both kidding around.
Uh-huh.
Did he ever
I'll
punish
never
you?
forget it.
Would he ever punish you? He hit you or, or tell you not
First
to
of
do?
all, once Uncle Dougal, he beat me up. I don't know why, for no reason. Uncle Dougal used to play around with him. And I got mad, and I ran away. Started on and went to Meltzer, that's why I had 15 minutes. And of course they caught me till I reached to open the gate. They got me and they brought me back. So to punish Grandma, my grandma, you had it.
Yeah.
I was sleeping on benches we had in shoe. I was sleeping all night.
Why did you want to punish her?
Because my grandmother didn't punish,
Uncle Douglas?
so I got mad.
But what did your mother have?
I didn't decide, I don't even remember why.
Why did your grandmother punish him? Why didn't your mother punish him?
She raised almost all the children.
Oh, you have it? Raised all the children?
Almost all the children. I was sleeping with her too,
With who? With your
But that-
grandma?
with my grandma.
In the same room?
And the second night, I decided to punish her. I closed was that, and then I asked her for something, and she couldn't go out and cook. That was me.
How old was your mother when she got married? She was
13.
She was 13? And she
And
had
my
Uncle
father was 13.
And how old was she when she had Uncle Douglas?
She was 20 because she needed a slight operation. And the doctor didn't want to.
But normally, like most,
Well, Double, I think, was 14 when he got married.
I
Got
guess-
Maybe within a year or two.
did he?
I think so. Wasn't
What?
Double 14 or so when he got married, Uncle Double?
Uncle Dougal was 15.
And
But 16 years little.
so everybody, most of the Rabbanim, and the Rebbitzins got married very, very young. They had children when they were teenagers, right?
Right.
16, 17?
But I guess it was so bad.
Well, I guess the grandparents would take care of it. Would the grandparents normally take care of the children?
Yeah, a lot of
No,
servants. A lot of servants.
just, you know why? Because my father was the only son.
Yeah.
And she lost all husband from TB because they didn't let her out. They didn't let him travel. He had to travel to Korea.
The Crimea?
To you, said, like you go here to Arizona
Yeah.
with TB, and he couldn't get out. They didn't give him permission. So he died. So she lost him very young.
This is Yechevitz.
You had it.
What was his name?
Mordechai.
That was Mordechai.
Doolittle was
His
his
father.
father.
And your father's, your Yitzchak,
Yeah.
what?
No,
You
nothing.
know Nuchen.
Nothing.
Menachem. Everybody was named
Yeah,
that.
right.
No one was named
Yeah,
that.
right.
Each
So before
one.
Menachem Nuchem was Mordechai, and then
Huh?
Mordechai was before, was
Well,
his...
he died there,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
That's why he had only my
Right,
father.
right.
And David was,
The oldest.
that was the famous one,
David
right?
Talmud, yeah.
David was the famous.
He had the
You know, he's in the
Chair.
Dybbuk, the play, they talk about him. You know, the play, the Dybbuk?
Yeah.
The first line in the play is about David Talmud.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But he was supposed to
Something
be...
about his crown of, his throne of gold.
Oh, yeah, that's the one that's supposedly the czar.
He had a golden chair.
Yeah.
But they talk about that at the beginning of the
Oh,
Dybbuk.
is that right?
Yeah.
Was written King David.
Yeah. David Melech Israel.
Yeah, that's what they refer to in the beginning. When these, these students are talking to each other about certain wonders of the Hasidismus.
He was supposed to have been a very, very a lively, to use a lively character. He wrote music.
Yeah.
David wrote music. He was a very...
Yeah, we have a nigga, I have it written out for music if you'd like a copy of it.
You remember long to do that with you.
I think that's the one that Jerry Fishman. Did you have some handy?
No, we got it from Baruch Trackman singing and Peter transcribed it. And we actually played it at Norman's wedding as sort of as a nice sort of a dance, sort of a wall.
Wonderful.
A very nice one. I have the music of it if you'd
Oh, I
like it.
love that. Yeah, because we played, it was a Talmud Higgin, a Jerry Fishman.
Oh,
And
he
Pat
may transcribe it too.
Mike
Do you have a, does anyone in the family play music?
Yeah, Pat does.
You play?
More stuff than you.
Did you have you play piano with him? Okay, I'll send you a copy of it. It's very nice. Peter transcribed it.
Irvine.
Yeah.
Didn't you sing when you...
And yes, and then at Norman's wedding in Philadelphia, we played the Talmud Nigam because Peter wrote it.
Oh,
wrote it
yeah.
out. Yeah, from Baruch singing.
At
He
your
transcribed
wedding.
it, yeah, from Baruch's.
But I'm talking about at your wedding. Wolf was
Baruch,
there.
yeah, right, he sang, you're right. Yeah. Who was your favorite in your family?
Yeah. He
Aaron.
was the youngest and
Yeah.
he was close.
And before that,
And
before?
then Grandma was very sick, so it was like a something.
Yeah.
7 years, but
Yeah.
when I was 12, I think I was 7.
Yeah, right. Why was that? Why was that?
You know what your father used, I mean, that was my name, what he called. You remember?
No, what was that?
The Alta News.
What?
The Alta News.
The other news? Oh, really? Why was that?
Because I grew up very young.
Yeah.
I mean, by 12, I think I was 7.
Mm-hmm.
Was the time
Because
of
the war
my
and all that.
mother was sick, and
Yeah,
I don't know, was too many,
yeah.
so I took over.
Who took care of your mother? Who took care of your mother?
Well, she had a maid, and then I used
No, I mean, in the family, did any of the,
I,
you were stuck with that?
and it wasn't so I loved it.
Didn't
So I did it with love.
Did she go to Romania with you?
Yeah. And then she was in Belgium.
She was in Belgium with you. Then when did she come to this country?
She died in Boston.
I know.
And we came together, Aaron and Grandma and I.
The three of you only?
We were the last one to come. And then the staff force there said something wrong with his eye. So we were the last one.
So why did she live in Boston? Why did she live in Boston?
In Boston.
Instead of, say, Philadelphia or New York?
She stayed a while with everybody, I guess, but I guess I don't know. I wasn't here right now.
Right.
When she died, I was in
In
Belgium.
Belgium.
Did she live alone or was she lived with in Boston?
With Uncle Louis, with Uncle
Ziska.
Ziska.
Ziska, right. She's buried in Boston.
Yeah.
She died in Boston.
Yeah.
Did you, when you were younger, I guess maybe you were too young, did you play much with your sisters or, did you play with Tante Fagala or
Like,
He
Chaika?
was so much older.
How much older?
I told him was so many.
my mother may have been 9 years
probably
old.
were.
9 years old? Chaika was the oldest, right?
Your mother didn't.
It's not clear, I have two different dates. One was that she was born 1896 and the other one 1894, and I'm not sure really when she was born.
When was she was born?
I'm not sure when she was born.
I was born 1904.
Yeah, I think she was 1896, but I'm not sure.
Oh, so that 80.
8 years old, maybe more?
Because the hiker was 7 years older than
Yeah, but maybe it was
And was-
1894. It's not clear. We don't know for sure.
Tante
I.
Fagala was
Probably
the oldest
10
sister?
years older.
And Tante Fagala was the oldest sister, right?
From the sisters, yeah. And then
Chaika was next.
hiker was after Jacob. The one that died.
Who was the brother that was older than you? The next brother.
It's,
How much older is he than you?
he was 5 years old.
5 years older? So were you friendly with him? Did you?
Oh, with Ithaca. I lived with him 2 years. I lived with them.
Miss Elder.
But when you were children, did you play together or climb trees?
When they went someplace, I always wanted to go. And they, of course, didn't want to take me because I was so young. So maybe even sleeping. I was very mean when I was young, very bad. And the minute they got ready, I lay down with my clothes side there. I said, I'm going. Because I couldn't help it.
This was Zelda with Yitzhak. This was Zelda and...
I don't know.
Not Zelda.
No, my brother.
I'm
Oh, that's
talking
not
about
brother.
my sister.
Oh, just your sisters?
Yeah, I'm talking about Peggy Heike.
Oh, okay.
One time, because one time they went away without taking me. They just sneaked out. So I took all Heike's letter and paid
Letters or
and put them away. They couldn't find it for a long time.
what kind of letters?
I get a long letter somewhere.
Oh, from the boyfriend? Where would they go?
They went to movies or to
Yeah.
once in a while.
Was there a movie in Tulchin?
Movies we had.
In Tulchin?
Yeah.
Theater?
Yeah, a regular movie.
Was it Russian? I mean, obviously it was
Of
Russian.
course it was a Russian.
Did they have any American movies?
No. Only
No Charlie Chaplin or?
first of all, it could be the titles, but that time was silent anyway.
Oh, that's right.
Did you see Charlie Chaplin?
Huh?
Did you see Charlie Chaplin?
Yeah, I think the later movie, so. I was not so old when I left Russia.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. You were, you left 1918?
Yeah.
So you were,
So-
you were 14?
I was 18 years old, I was
14.
40.
14?
Oh, 14, maybe, no, I was older. When I left.
Oh, you left
Russia,
1920 something?
I'm 84,
Yeah.
and it's 88, and we went away in 18, so 7 years ago. I was 14, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you, when Yitzhak was, let's say, 10, you were 5, right?
Yeah.
So you didn't play with him or anything, or
We
you weren't
played.
allowed to play with the brothers yet?
We played sickest with the big nuts, so down to play. you know, like marbles.
Yeah, sure.
And we were together younger.
Yeah, but they generally kept the boys separated from the girls.
Yeah, they
Because
were
the boys would
learning,
study.
When they're in school.
Yeah.
and they were definitely so much older.
Yeah, but that's why I asked about the
They were
youngest
the
one.
first ones.
The youngest one.
I don't want to disturb you.
Yeah, we're,
I don't want to disturb you.
Did any of the girls, Ma, did any of the girls have like secret boyfriends?
Of course.
Hey,
Were
how
they
many
all
bees?
Jewish or were there any Goyim?
Oh,
No?
that time,
No?
I think Bush was the first one in our family that that didn't marry a Jew.
you're thinking of Fiddler on the Roof.
Yeah,
Sounds that right.
Yeah.
No, I think that
I
was most
mean,
unusual.
you didn't even think to go with
But when you went to school,
Yes,
you had a lot of
but there
Goyim.
were Jewish boys too. I went with your father.
Was he in school with you?
Huh?
Was he in school with you, Moshe?
Yeah, he was higher because he was a few years older, but,
Well, what did his parents do? What did his parents do?
his parents were, they had a town and then they had wine business. They were his grandparents and grandparents. And even David was a first cousin to
Uh-huh.
David Gabbai.
David Gabby. So his parents were in the wine business.
Mhm. Did they
So
sell
there was a
wine?
young- And then when he went to it, he was very young.
Were there any people that used to come to Tolchina, like Zionists, to say, come to Israel, you know, to find the new
Oh,
country?
there always was speeches and big Zionists that came.
And where did they have the meetings, where they spoke?
What do you mean, Dad? In schools, or there was a special, all,
Well, what did your father feel about them? I mean, did he feel that these were,
my father was bad.
or your
I
brothers?
was about 9 years from my father.
Well, what about your brothers? What did they think about these Zionists? Were they good Jews or bad Jews?
Yeah, I guess they were already big. Little money.
What?
Good night. Good
Good
night.
night.
Did any of the religious, like your brothers, you don't know if they thought of going?
You know the ones ready that religious, just certain ones, but the religious.
What do you mean, Uncle Gabriel wasn't?
Uncle Gabriel's son.
Yeah, but Uncle Gabriel wasn't that religious?
Look, he couldn't do openly nothing wrong, but he wasn't that.
He wasn't that,
Yeah. And what about,
Uncle Moshe was a little bit
more
more.
right.
And Ziska?
Ziska?
I wouldn't tell that to Yitzchak.
No, don't.
It's a good.
I wouldn't tell that to Yitzchak.
I know,
And
Ma,
Yitzchak knows himself, I think. So.
Ma, you once said that like Uncle Gabriel wanted to be a scientist or a doctor or a lawyer or something?
Yeah, a big hussy that they had a lot of money. He offered it.
To be a what?
He studied a law, or
Medicine?
doctor, anything he wanted. He had a good editing show, but it was too late.
But what about Moshe? Did he want to be anything beside a
I
rabbi?
don't know if anybody offered him, but he, not only that he should go and study, but he would take care of the family,
Yeah.
the expense and everything. but he was too lazy to do.
Yeah, they were sort of trapped in their
Yeah.
roles.
How many
He was exceptional bright, but he was very lazy.
Yeah.
How many shuls were there in Tulchin?
Huh?
How many shuls were there in Tulchin?
Teaching was a lot, it was a total shul, except that we had our own. They had it not really close where Daddy lived.
Daddy didn't live near you?
We lived out of
Out of town.
town life.
Oh, so there were a lot of shuls? There
We
were-
had our own shul.
But were there a lot
But
of
there were a
others?
lot of shuls in town?
I mean,
How many?
I don't know, I didn't go there. You going home?
Yeah, I'm gonna take
I
that
think you should.
Yeah, her back is really
You
acting up.
stay too long.
Neil's giving you his arm.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah, oh, wow. You've been.
Why are the shoes tied? You always take them off.
My feet get fat that night. Shoes are not tight.
I
My
come
feet get
in
fat.
white tight shoes.
They're not. It's at the end of the day, my feet start to swell. a
You'll
little.
pee, your shoes will get bigger.
Alex, are you sure? Neil will try.
I'm not, I'm not going
Your sister too, but the heels are bad.
I'm always
to
there.
Take care.
Yeah.
Take
Given
care.
my
Thank you.
choice, I would never wear
Yeah,
shoes.
yeah,
New York
yeah.
City had
Happy
clean
New Year to you.
streets. I wouldn't wear shoes.
It's lovely to see
Yeah.
you. Have a good trip home.
They stay well, our family.
Well, sort of in part, but we can,
Honka, I'm very interested in how the men's lives differed from the women's lives, how the girls and boys were brought up. Was there a,
No, we were together, we were not together. I mean, when I started to go up, I always went out with Moorish. But the thing is, he didn't treat me because he didn't have money either. He didn't work. Who worked there for me? So I had my own money, paid his own money.
well, I didn't mean that so much as your brothers and you. They went to a certain kind of school. They went to a religious school.
Yes,
They were all-
had
they were-
teachers home.
They had teachers at home. And what did you do?
I was the only one that went to school.
All the other girls,
The girls didn't.
what did
You
they do? What did
They had teachers home too.
they had teachers?
I told her because that time, when I started to go to school, I didn't go to public school, I was prepared for high school.
Yes.
And so I got permission not to go on Saturday to school because Saturday was open.
How far away was school?
School was quite, most I used to walk, but when the weather was very bad, it was very slippery, we had snow all winter. So I used to go by bus.
maybe talk about that. Yeah.
But otherwise, most of the time I walk.
Did your sisters, what did they do at home? What was a day
They
in
were readings, they had friends, they had, even when I go, we belonged to a group that they were reading, discussing what we read. Each one gave his opinion about a book, what he liked, what he didn't like, what's the opinion about a book. And they too read. And then they used to have teachers home, so they had to study prepared.
Well, what books did you read? What books did you read?
I read, of course, Dostoevsky, Pushkin, Tolstoy,
You did.
and yeah, first of all, a lot of books that we had to read is Gogol, all the Russian books.
Did you go to plays? Were you allowed to go to the theater?
Pardon?
Were you allowed to go to the theater?
Yes, but not, we didn't have a study in Tucci. But then when we moved to Odessa, and his father had he had all
My father had a
box.
bunch of box for us that they all went to, yeah.
So we all used to go. That time I wasn't ready the little one.
Were Uncle Chaim and Tante Fegele, was it an arranged marriage, or did they meet each other?
No. Uncle Chaim studied with Jochen.
Uncle Chaim studied with Yaakov.
Even,
So Uncle Chaim came from Tolchin.
yeah, he's a Tuccino.
Aha.
And I guess like Uncle Moshe, he wanted yichus. The parents wanted.
Right. So was it arranged, or did he?
No, no.
No, he picked Tante Fegele.
He picked her out. He wasn't in love with her. First, she had somebody else. But
Who was the
he
somebody
said
else?
he can afford to. Nunu was his name.
What was it?
Nunu Frankel.
Frankel?
Newman Frank?
The second name.
What?
And
What did he
said
do?
he can afford Tante Beggar because she was used to
Close.
luxury. So then after
She was in love with him? With Fagel?
I guess she was,
Uh-huh.
but he said he can afford it. So later
The boy
on, she
himself said he can't afford it? The boy said
Yeah,
it?
the boy said.
Yeah.
He was my teacher to prepare me for high school.
Oh.
And
Was he good looking?
he liked her. She was very pretty.
She was.
And he said, in luxury that you were used to, I would never be able to afford. And
Did
then
he teach
she-
all the girls? Did Frankel teach all the girls? Or just you, or?
No, he, on the side, he went to college, but in the summer he used to teach whatever. He had a pupil, and I happened to be one of it.
When you
And I
were
think that's what she meant.
a little kid, 5, 6, 7 years old, and your father was still alive, did you all eat together every night?
We used to, but not at the same table.
Oh, you did. You had a male table and a female table? Oh, you did have a male table and a female table. And did you set the table?
Huh?
Did you as children have to set the table and clear, no, servants?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
But I really started very young to serve and to take care.
Well, because your father died.
He was 41 or
Right.
43. The most he was 42. I
Who
was,
took over the household when he died?
huh?
Who took over the household when he died?
Uncle Lulu wasn't there, but Uncle Marshall.
He did? How old was he?
Well, he was married.
He was married, and his wife came back to live in the house?
And the kids,
And the kids came, everybody, they had moved away though.
they had a home. They built it before, but then he lived before, but he didn't have to do much. He just studied. He had,
So he had kids like Francis? When your father died and he took over the house, and he came back with his kids to the
he
house?
lived with us.
I know, so that means you grew up at the same time as Francis and Jean and David?
That's right.
They were all born in Europe?
The old one. Gina, I don't know. Gina Muttle, I think, was in America.
But Mayer
Mayer
and
was
Sigmund?
Pegele, Ziske, and Pegele, Ziske.
Mayer?
Sigmund, actually Sigmund
I
and
said-
Fran are in some of the pictures they have there in the, in Belching.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right, that's
yeah.
right,
Yeah.
Sigmund is.
But they came back, when your father died, Moshe came back to
Moshe
the
took
house.
over.
And he came with his family to live in the house
I
with you.
mean, he didn't live in the house, he still lived in his house,
Oh,
but he was,
he took over the congregation.
that's it.
So he
And-
became head of the household.
Uncle Moshe.
Yeah. And what did your mother do? Was she?
My mother didn't do much. She wasn't a well person. And
Physically? Physically or mentally?
Physically. And
Probably said that they all had wet nurses.
uh,
They did, they all
Yeah,
did.
that you, I was saying that you said that they did, that your mother didn't feed any of the children
that's
the breast, that you had other women do it, yeah.
That was common though in that
Yeah,
time.
not like,
It was also common to be mentally ill, I thought.
yeah.
To be weak.
Yeah, so you have, female problem.
Depression, well, depression,
Depression.
neurasthenia.
Right.
I don't think there were bottles
Hmm?
my time. I don't know.
There weren't any bottles. That's
Yeah.
why you needed wet nurses.
Right.
They
Yeah, right.
all were fed by breast, but
Yeah.
somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She didn't have milk. She wasn't.
She had a lot of
She
children.
never was. And then, my grandma took over.
Your grandmother, the one that looked like the Indian?
Yeah, the one that you said looks like an Indian.
That's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
dark.
Right, I know.
She's also very old, I think.
No.
No?
She was not
People look-
nice, right?
People looked old very early.
Right, she did not treat your mother well.
She was a niece too, to her.
I know, but she didn't treat her well.
I mean, she took it over. Of course she didn't treat it. My mother was.
Now, is that her mother? Is that her mother you're talking
No, no.
about?
No, it's the
Or
father's
his
mother.
Your father's mother.
The-
Patterson.
Yeah.
And it was also her aunt.
Uh-huh.
It was also my mother's
Oh.
mother's aunt,
Right.
because that was also common.
Yeah.
Even your husband, your grandmother, and so could they always.
They would didn't get
Your
along too well,
mother
right?
had very little.
Yeah. My mother had trouble with her mother-in-law and her
Sister-in-law.
sister-in-law.
Sukkah was advising,
Yeah,
your
right.
grandmother was a cook.
Her sister-in-law, Manya Schneider?
No, my aunt, Mima,
Oh,
from
Mima.
Pittsburgh. Yeah, she lived with us for a while.
Um,
We began talking about when your mother and Mima went to Cuba together.
How come my mother went to
1931.
Cuba alone?
No, Mima was with her in 31.
Ah.
Mimi Sukkah, you remember?
Yeah, she had big breasts.
The big.
She was a big woman.
Right.
Yeah.
I have childish images.
Yes,
of
right,
people.
yeah. She was big. She was built
I
like a Helen
don't think
Hookinson.
that you remember something.
What happened to your mother's mother?
Huh?
Where was your mother's mother?
She,
Did she live in your house too?
my mother's brother.
Mother.
Mother?
Yeah.
Yeah, not all mother, nobody remembers. She died when we were all very young. I
What's
don't
her
know.
name? What is your mother's name?
What was her mother's name? Somebody's named it to her. Heike is Haisu, I think.
Hank is named after?
Heike is named after
But
her.
Doris is named
No, her name was Shoshana.
Shoshana, nobody Shoshana.
Yeah.
No,
Mother's,
wait.
the matrilineal stuff gets lost.
Well, I'm so curious
Yeah.
about that because that would be,
I don't think I Shangle. That's right, but why nobody's named?
Shangle is Shangle. Shangle is named
Shangle
after.
is named after,
your mother's mother.
but in our family nobody was named.
Well,
And I
maybe she
think
didn't die until you all were born.
Could be.
Maybe she died when you were very young.
Well,
I don't remember where
Uncle was the youngest until Aaron was born, so there was
Right.
7 years between that the uncle was the youngest, was the baby.
I
7
was the
years.
youngest till Aaron was born.
And what's-
I was 7 years younger.
And what's the age difference between you and Uncle Dovido? Like 16 years or something?
I'm almost about 15 years, I think.
That's what I thought.
Because
I know, because you're a year younger than
Lily
Lily.
was almost my age.
Right.
11 months different. I
Right.
was 11 months older.
Right.
He was married at 15, had his first child within a year.
Yeah, 16.
Where did your mother come
So-
from to marry into this family? What was your mother's family? Was she the daughter of a rabbi? Was she the daughter?
Yeah, she was the
We spoke about it.
Oh, you
What's
did.
the name?
Chichinika.
Oh,
That's a city,
yeah,
and that's what they call
And
it.
her last name was a G, right?
Huh?
Her last name began with a G?
Rabinowitz.
No, it wasn't
No.
Rabinowitz.
And
Wittenberg says it's like Gerstein or
we
something.
just were talking when he was here.
Right.
I forgot her
He
name.
says it's like Gerstein or
Ah.
something. Something like that.
Was she the daughter of a rabbi?
Yeah, we just said
From that
From
city?
Chichelnik.
Chicken.
No, from a different city.
From
Was he a
different city.
Hasid or was he,
It is opposite.
They all
The
were
Rebbe.
Hasidic.
Yeah, if it was a Rebbe.
Yeah.
Well, if you were a Rebbe, you were a Hasidic, because
Uh-huh.
it was
It's
a
not a rabbi.
dynasty. It wasn't a learned position where you were
Oh,
ordained.
right,
It was
okay.
handed down from
Uh-huh.
father
yeah.
to son,
So
to
that was a
oldest
different,
son.
it was a different.
Not that you couldn't get to be a Siddish rabbi like my father to be learning, but you have to, like a king, goes to the.
So your mother left her city to come to Tolchin.
No,
And she
they
left her
lived in
mother,
Tolan first.
she moved to Tolna?
Aaron and I were born to Shin. That's the only two. All the rest were born in Tolan.
Oh.
And then I think Heike was born in Westcott. Because for a while they had from the government that they couldn't be there anymore because when the Hasidim all came, it was like a revolution. And they were afraid. So they had to move away, so they moved not far from Tona was Westcott. So they lived there. I think Heike was born there. I don't remember.
And then
But
they moved,
Justin Tuchin was I in there for born Tuchin.
So they moved it.
That was
In around 1900.
yeah, 'cause my mother was born in 04,
And the previous one was in 99.
and that was in
I never
Vassal.
knew that. I wondered why they're called
The
Tolna
Tolna
Rebbe when
Rebbe.
they were in Tolchin.
Well, it was David Palmer.
Yeah, I know that, but
But they had,
since they usually got known by the town they were in, there
Right.
were no Tolchiners.
And do you know Twersky? Why Twersky?
Hmm?
Do you know why Twersky?
Well, there are two theories on
Oh,
this.
there is two?
Yeah.
I only know one.
One was that it was derived from a place,
Yeah, the one that.
and the other is that it had to do with Tiberius or something
Right,
like
right.
that. Right.
The Tiberius one is the one I know.
Oh, two theories.
I think the one that's in this is Velma's daughter.
Velmos?
Your uncle Vel,
Oh,
your father's brother.
yes, that's what I
His
right.
daughter,
Uh-huh.
she lives in England. The one that started production Philadelphia.
Yes.
So
That's
who
our
had,
son.
who had arranged marriages? Was Dovidal's marriage arranged?
Yes,
He had no choice
he had no choice. I don't think he knew until the,
till the wedding day. And what
and
about
Uncle Moshe is the same thing,
Uncle Moshe?
where did those women come from?
from rabbis too,
From different towns?
from different towns,
Uh-huh.
was arranged.
They didn't come from Tolna.
And my mother and father were engaged when they were 7.
7?
But marriage, They married at 13. Both of them were 13.
But she left, when she was 13, she left her family in this
And
other town
came.
and came to Colma.
They were
And that's why maybe you don't know her mother.
It's possible, I don't know.
That you don't know her
Maybe she
maternal
died when I
grandmother.
was very
Well,
young.
she must have stayed in the other town with her husband. And she didn't come to Colma.
We talked about
No,
that house.
I
where we
never
found around
wasn't told them
at
that.
least
You
10
never
bedrooms.
were in Colma. Yeah.
And a big shul had a man whose only job was heating the water in the samovar
And then I
and
think,
cleaning the lamps, because they're kerosene lamps. That was a major job. And one person did that, right? And
very seldom when the husband died, they remarried.
Uh-huh.
Like my grandma, my father's mother,
Yeah.
lived with us. She started very young.
She was a
Because-
very young woman when her husband died.
That's it, because he was very young,
Yeah.
exceptionally young.
So she was in her early 40s, you think, when he died, or was she younger than he was?
I don't think they were much younger because there's a range.
So they were both 13.
So-
So she at 40 became a widow and never remarried.
I don't remember exactly, but I know
she probably
since
left.
I was raised, I was with my grandma. She
Yes,
always
You see, I think Mordecai died before his father did. So that your grandfather
Lived
became...
long.
Yeah, he died very young.
But I think he died before his father did, didn't he, your
Before
grandfather?
what?
Mordecai died before his father did, before David?
No,
Before David
no,
died?
yeah, of course, because he was so much older, yeah. He was the only son too.
Yeah. So they each had one child. David had one son, and then Mordecai had one son and died very young.
Oh.
I-
That's why my father got married so young,
Mhm.
because he died too. I think before my father got married. So that's why she moved in with that.
Was Ziska's marriage arranged?
Who's
Was
with?
Ziska's marriage arranged?
The first one
The first
was.
one.
The second,
wife
he
died
got
after about
married
3
in
months or
Romania.
And the second one, he got married in Romania.
When we went over,
Right,
when
when
we
you
left Russia, that time Romania didn't belong to Russia.
Right.
But
And what about Shengel's father?
he was a shirker.
No, I know, Yitzchak Nuchen. Was his marriage to Zelda arranged?
Well, I don't think it was. Maybe the parents, the father raised him, I don't know. Because I think he started by Zelda's father was a shirker.
Oh.
And maybe that's what it. I was already a big girl, but so many years, but.
Do you remember Benny's last name now? Can you remember his last name? Mima's husband, Benny?
Ben, you know, but I still, I
Still
didn't
remember.
think about it. I knew. I'm a big too, I think.
A B also? Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
when,
You know how we ask somebody directly, the name disappears.
Yeah.
I thought maybe thinking, that's
Well,
something we
the
talked about.
first-
Swartz says you're supposed to like think and say everything that comes to your mind when you
right.
think about it, and
Yeah.
and they all have meaning.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a B, I think.
what was Suka's second name?
Berger.
Huh?
Berger.
Oh, Boygan, right?
Yeah. Well, we've been talking for hours. Maybe we ought
The kids were very good to Suka.
to. Yes.
Boygan.
Yeah. And she was very good to them.
Yes, they
Yeah.
liked her, so I guess she deserved.
Yeah.
She
The
was
best.
a smart
They were
woman.
pretty young when, they were pretty young when she moved there.
Hmm?
Their kids
The
were pretty
kids
young.
were pretty young, yeah. I don't think she got married
In what? She got
in
married,
New York.
I think it was, I don't remember where, but it must have been right after your trip to Cuba.
Yeah, but she first went to Russia. She got, because she didn't have children.
Yeah.
So it was, this I remember that in the shoe, the basement that they gave her to open a shoe. And all these that went to seven. It was so sad and so, I don't know. I remember that. And then she went to Russia, got married, that's so good. Why did she go again to Russia? She went to Russia, I remember.
I think she married Berger around 1932, maybe.
Yeah, I know, it was, but I remember the whole ceremony that,
Oh,
like, because she didn't have children,
uh-huh.
so he goes to get open a shoe.
Oh, really? Oh, some ceremony?
In order to have children?
No, because it's a second marriage, maybe. I don't know.
They
Uncle,
never had any children.
Uncle, going back to why the family left Polna, what do you know about that?
I tell you, there's something with the government, because used to come 2 minutes seated and was
Too
all,
many Hasidim.
Yeah.
so they were
It's a
afraid that make a big revolution.
This was the Tsar. This was with the Tsar.
Huh?
This was with the Tsar.
I couldn't.
White Russia.
This is with the Tsar, when the Tsar was in power.
Yeah, I'm talking about it, of course. The revolution was only in 1917.
But they were afraid that all those Hasidim would start trouble.
Yeah, gonna,
My mother told, my father told a story of how my mother saved him from during the revolution, somewhere in Odessa or something where they...
oh, that was, we had a friend, they arrested him. He was shot, selling or buying, I don't remember. And she had a very close friend that was ahead of so they let him out.
Was it the White Army
That
or the
was
Red
in
Army?
Odessa, yes.
No, was it the White Army or the Red Army? Was it the communists or the other side?
The Bolshevik, the
The
communist.
Bolshevik. And my mother saved him?
Yeah, he was already there in prison too.
I think there's some
They
sort of...
arrested him in a public place.
Mhm.
And then she got a friend that was very famous, was ahead of that thing, and they let him go. He killed 2 people. No, I'm joking.
No.
But the whole family got up from Polna and moved everything?
To,
No, to a place with a V first, you said.
Yeah, there's another place.
There was another place first where Chaika was born, for like
Yeah,
Vlad or something.
I just don't.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, right. It's on the
Right. It's a place that had like a Vassilkov, right.
And how long do you think the family stayed there? How,
Not long, because Aaron and I were born already.
why did the family stay in that town, do you know?
They stayed just for a while to find something to move to. So they moved to Fiji. Because I don't know why Vassilkov was too close to town or whatever. I don't know why.
So
what
why'd
the
you
reason.
move to Pelchin? You don't know.
They did a
I
market
don't
survey.
know.
Right.
Was it
I wasn't
the house?
born yet.
The house that you grew up in then is the house you
She was
remember
born
is
in
the
Tulchin.
Tolkien
Born in
house.
Tulchin.
Yeah, but the picture of the family, where is that?
Is that big machine too? All the pictures that was in the house of the living machine.
You
that
think it
you
was
saw.
was it a better house than the one in Tolna, do you think, or was it a smaller house?
We bought was two big houses. This house is said is ghosts lived there. And there was another big house that even the soldiers didn't stay. Was all the time noise in that house. And the soldiers were moved out from there too. But that house when we moved, so
Yeah.
It
Like I
was
said, it
moved
became a
away
hospital
too.
after the revolution.
you know, there was so many stories that I might remember to change. Every war, that time, you know, it used to be the, what do you call that, on snow that you ride?
Sleds.
Sled. And we were taking a ride in the sled. And somebody was running at the ride and then disappeared.
Hmm.
There was so many stories.
Oh.
And, but,
You mean like ghost
I
stories? Like
didn't-
ghost stories? You mean like ghost stories?
ghost story.
Uh-huh.
But this
But
house,
that house, that even the soldiers couldn't stay.
this house in Tolchin though, was it already there when the family moved there?
I was born in
Yeah.
Tulchin, so I really don't know. how
Nobody built it,
came.
nobody built it for,
Just two houses was built after we moved there.
For double line.
oh,
That, I don't even
but the
remember
houses
when they
already
built it.
existed.
Apparently.
So who lived in them
But there was
before?
Ghosts.
Ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where'd you get the money to buy
Huh?
it? Where'd they get the money to buy a 10-bedroom house?
The city gave,
They gave money for him to come and live in their town.
they gave money when they came for blessings.
No. But there
But
were other Hasidic rabbis in the town.
we were the only ones.
You said someone's, didn't you say that Ziska's wife was the daughter of another Hasidic Rebbe from another part of Tolchin?
Ziska never married a Hasidic.
Who married somebody that came from another part of Tolchin near where Daddy lived?
Moshe, Tante Rivka came from
From where?
Krelevitz.
Where did Daddy live?
Huh?
Where did Daddy live? Maisha.
Tulchin.
Right, but in another part of Tolchin. Oh, you lived on the outskirts of Tolchin.
Yeah, they lived in this city itself.
Okay, and there were other shuls in Tolchin, you said?
Oh, a lot of shoes.
Other Hasidic shuls.
There was a name that Thomas Shul,
Right.
but that was just a city there. but
So why
no
would they
rabbi.
pay for you to
No
come?
Hasidic rabbi.
Oh, there wasn't a Hasidic Rebbe. Oh, so the Hasidim paid for you to come to Tolchin.
The Hasidim were there, but not a rabbi.
Aha.
Yeah. Like I said, that my father's house where he grew up was very big. He even had a ballroom in
Was
Sand.
What did his
tremendous
family
house.
it. Leather factory.
There was a
This is
store
what I
that
understand.
didn't
I
belong
understand
to
how
your
big
father,
this town of
that was
Tulchin is.
rented out.
Your father had a leather factory. My father's parents were wine
Wine, right.
merchants.
There's a movie theater there.
But how big was this town?
How big was Tulchin? Was it
In your father's house was even a store that didn't belong to your father, that somebody rented out, and then it said a dancing. I don't think they had to do with the dancing only.
Oh, it was dance
They
hall there.
just rented out.
Oh, I see. The dance hall.
Oh, I think it was
Very
Lawrence.
big house, right? But with a store and it was 2-3 floors.
To make 2 floors, but tremendous, was all around like a block.
Honka, were there only Jewish people in Tulchin?
Not only Jews. I was maybe 10,000 Jewish people, and the population was 40,000.
40,000.
Now, when I saw Fiddler on the Roof,
Yeah,
the Jewish section all lived in
like in 2, 3 cities.
yeah, but there were like little hovels. The non-Jewish section of the town was clean, wider streets.
See what happened in Abatachunigan. There was very poor, not far from us, was very poor. When you used to come to us, was little houses like this. And then there was another section that was 2 poor people. And then the one that were better off lived in the main street, and where your father lived, and where a lot of but Jewish too, and they had business there. And Durit Gabba lived like half a block away from, and there was a lot of that Jewish people. And then a teacher that taught Yuda, Hebrew, he had TB, he died very young too. And that was all around like 6 black Jews, but better off. And then was the pool that was mixed, Jews and Gentiles, little houses.
Jews and Gentiles were mixed in little houses.
I mean, lived almost in the same. The pool lived near the pool.
But was the non-Jewish section prettier than the Jewish section?
I don't think so. I mean, it was almost the same.
Where was Hyman Schneider's house?
Was ready near the main street.
I see.
Was a little bit on the side, but near the main.
And it wasn't a
That
ghetto.
was
It wasn't in a
the
ghetto.
better off.
Was
That
there a train station? Was there a railroad there?
The train station was 14 or 16 miles away from.
How did you
He
go?
had to take horses to go.
How did you go to Kyiv or Odessa? How did you go to Kyiv or Odessa?
By train, but we had to
Take
come
horses to go to the station, I see.
That was 14. But during the war, I walked from the station.
Yeah.
I didn't mind.
During which war?
Huh?
During which
Oh, you
war?
mean the revolution or the
Oh, really?
I'm talking about the police.
Oh.
The second time was in
Nobody went to war. No one you
Oh,
knew
no,
went to
it was-
World
it
War
was-
One. I know he went to America.
Came to America.
Right,
Because he took him to ground.
right,
But they paid the main doctor,
right.
and he gave him that he's not well. That was a few times. Then somebody said it must be not right because he said he looks like a very healthy person. So finally they took him. I guess the doctors were afraid to get paid anymore. So he went away. He came to say goodbye home, and they took him. He crossed to Germany, I think, or to Austria, and from there he went to the States.
What year did the little come here?
That was in 15.
This is
1915.
Gilgamesh, she's talking.
Yeah, Uncle Goodman. Doris,
The
you know,
first
Nick and
year
Doris.
war. The
Yeah.
second
Yeah,
war.
1915, yeah. Okay.
There's the story about your father getting out of the army.
Yeah.
Um,
So he told they,
Do you know that story about Hyman Schneider, how he
they
got
tied a
out of
brick
the army?
to the bottom of 1 foot, they walked
Well,
around or something.
Let Hunter tell
He
us.
made himself that, yes, he owned it. A matter of fact,
What did he make himself?
it's something with the hip, I don't know.
They tied a brick under 1 foot, walking out for him, and he had a limp for a while. That
That's
story
this-
told.
And one,
You'd never be able to
Man,
run
that
for political
worked
office
for
in America.
so he wanted to be a Jew. His name was Costa. And Costa.
Costa?
So he called himself Coleman. And there was a woman that worked for Tante Holland. He wanted to marry her. She was Jewish. And then during the war, he did the same thing that you put. A lot of people did.
Yeah.
I think
Didn't they get
because that was
suspicious?
the easiest to be
Sure.
done and to get away with it.
Yeah. Well,
Didn't they get suspicious about all you people who had 1 foot longer than the other?
there was one of these genetic afflictions for Ashkenazi Jews.
The whole family, this one, worked for us.
So no one went into the army.
Huh?
So no one went into the army.
How did Moshe get out of
I
get into
came
the
in.
army?
No one went into the army.
Only Uncle Louis, that's how he ran away to the States. That was before the war, but he ran away in 1950. Was the First World War.
And when Uncle Douglas came to the States, who helped him set up? Hasidim in New York? Is there a Hasidic organization? You just send a telegram, I'm coming? Rabbi, I know, he's the
But
first.
don't forget that there was so
Gene
many
Wilder would disprove that.
from Russia, so many from that
Poland.
knew the tongue.
In the book Mike Gold, Jews Without Money. You know the book at all?
No.
Have you ever heard of it?
No.
He was a leftist communist writer in the 20s, 30s. He wrote a book called Jews Without Money. That was the bestseller for a while in the 30s. But in it, he describes how his father took him to the dock to meet the first big Hasidic rabbi coming from Russia.
Oh.
And it probably was terrible.
Right.
That he's writing about.
It must have been, because my mother said he was supposedly the first Hasidic Rebbe in the United States.
Yeah, the first prominent one.
Oh,
You know that one time he moved to Bensonhurst.
yeah. And he lost all his money in the stock market.
Well, partly that, and partly people didn't follow him there.
Oh, was that it?
That was part of it.
Oh, Doris tells a story as he lost his money in the stock market and had to go back to Turner Street.
Well,
And
that
broke-
in itself wouldn't have been enough.
Oh, and that broke his heart.
I remember once as a kid going out there where they were right off the water, it was a lovely place. But the way I heard it was that just simply they didn't have the same level of follower support once they got out there. We had to go back to restore that. It may be that both occurred, that he needed more money because he lost, and he had to go back. Listen, I think we ought to go. Everybody's tired. You must be very tired from all that talking.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, we all did. I mean, it's so hard to know how people really live.
And I don't see you often, I don't speak to you too often.
We know events, but we don't
After
know how
all,
people
I
live.
could
Yeah.
say I remember when.
Yeah, right. It's a different world.
I remember when you were just so drunk and not just. And the
My
child,
message. Yeah,
you were very sick.
yeah.
You were very young then. I
About
was
7.
at then.
About 7.
7?
Something like 7, yeah. Yeah, again, that was, I guess, shortly after you went to Cuba. Well, it must be just before or about the time you went to Antwerp.
How did people feel about taking children to the doctor and taking care of them?
I mean, we always said, since I remember, but I used to have a visit very often. And I always had a doctor. And then there was not exactly a doctor, but he knew as much as a doctor.
Who was that?
Probably true then.
And
Who was that?
I mean, into Chin,
Yeah.
as a doctor.
Who was the man that knew as much as a doctor there?
He studied something,
Do you know who
they
was it?
call him a Reifert. That means
A healer.
Yeah.
there was 3 doctors in
Were they Jewish doctors or were they,
I don't think so. One was. The other 2, I don't think they were. But we always see.
you went to the healer when they weren't there?
Huh?
Did you go to this other man when they weren't?
I mean, they came to the house,
They came
of
to
course,
the
that time, all the doctors came to the house. And nobody had a specialty.
Right.
What did you take for a sore throat? What did they do?
What the one just gave, the
Diphtheria.
yeah, that year to find out the
Bacteria.
serum,
Oh, the serum, yeah,
that I got sick. I was very young.
So what, how did they treat you?
Anything, I mean, you always said it.
Did you ever have a goggle muggle?
Huh?
Did you ever have a goggle muggle?
No, that's when you horse.
Yeah.
Only when your horse you had that?
Your father loved us about going muggle, so, yeah.
So what did you do for a sore throat?
Huh?
What did you do for a sore throat?
I told you that time diphtheria, but it's so told you gargled, you took aspirin.
Aspirin. There was
I
aspirin.
don't know what it was, but she took something.
And what'd you do
Yeah.
for a headache?
I had migraine all my life.
And what'd you do?
I used to put raw potatoes in my,
Raw
Raw potatoes?
took out the heat. Was,
Probably
then
doesn't
don't
as effective as
forget,
anything else.
during the Second World War, no, the First World War, we all had the stomach, what do you call it?
Diarrhea.
That when was epidemic. And you had doctors and Ziska was sick the last one. We all had it. All
What did you
probably all
have?
to Gina.
What did you have? What was it?
Something with your stomach, you tell
Oh,
me.
stomach.
I don't know what it was. It's,
The flu?
was poisonous, it was epidemic, the whole city was very bad, a lot of people died.
Did you know anyone who died? Did any of your friends die?
There was some people died, not friends exactly, but
Did
I
you-
knew the people that died.
Mom, did you tell Irving the story about when you were in high school and they came to round up all the Jewish students?
What did you say?
Did you tell him the story about when you were in school and they came to round up all the Jewish students?
That they didn't. I just said when all of a sudden we find out we are Jewish, because that same night that we expected back from the pogrom, the men, they made a ball.
Right.
Wasn't Jewish, was of course gentle Jewish. And that next Monday was 300 and something
Students.
that's killed.
Right.
A lot of students too,
Well,
only Jewish. A lot of friends, my friend's father, they recognized him, his shoes was shiny in the back.
Yeah.
They used to say that he was exceptionally.
He was killed?
Yeah,
He was killed?
he was killed. He ran away, they caught him, I don't remember directly. Wasn't a nice feeling, I'll tell you that much.
did you do your laundry in the river?
Huh?
Did you do your laundry in the river?
And we had self at a pond, like a small pond. And I
Pond, a small pond?
And I took some linen, clean linen, I didn't like to wash the linen, and went to the pond, and I fell in, and almost they got me by my hair.
Yeah,
So it stays in your mind.
yeah.
You didn't know how to swim.
That time I didn't know. Matter of fact, I learned in Coney Island.
Oh.
I was with my mother, and I like water.
Your mother came to America?
Of course, she died in Boston.
Sima.
She's buried in Boston?
Yeah.
I used to go every year, but no,
Did anyone in the family know how to swim?
I don't think so. The Uncle Doodle knew, yes, so I don't know about the other. With Uncle Doodle,
He was a,
with Uncle Doodle, we used to
Not
go.
destined to be.
They had
A rabbi.
always a house that they used to rent out.
You shouldn't have been the firstborn son.
yeah. So,
East one there.
You used to have a house
I
that you
told
used
you, I
to
used
go
to go to the,
to?
when I
A
was
summer
very young,
house
to the
that you
corner
used to go
tavern to
to?
get him pictures of
Dead
deer.
for the summer.
In,
Visit.
in, Tulsa.
Alex tells stories, but he's.
No, I'm talking
the
about
errands for him.
the States.
Oh, in the
Yeah.
States, yeah.
But you didn't live on Attorney Street.
No, no, when we visit.
In New
Oh.
Jersey, where your
My father would
father.
play cards with him, with Belzer, Doolittle, my father would play pinochle, and Doolittle study. And I would go down the corner bar and get a pitcher of beer from him.
Where did the Belzers live? The Belzers lived on Attorney
That
Street?
was from Tucci.
No, they lived on Attorney Street?
Oh,
Did the Belzers live on Attorney Street?
he didn't live in Tucci.
No, okay.
But he was sort of
But
the
he
money
used
manager,
to
paymaster, and all
Work
that.
for Uncle Doodle.
Oh, he used to work for him. You know what I never understood? He was a reverend. What is a reverend to a Jewish
That
world?
just to give license, Mary York.
Oh,
You
that's
took
what-
a specialized, like, you go to a Georgia second license.
He married us, so,
Belzer married us.
Right, I just never knew what a
Belzer
reverend
married us.
was.
Oh, that's right.
I never heard of a reverend in
Yeah.
the Jewish
Oh,
world.
you're
But I grew up with
Well,
him
I know,
as Reverend Belzer. I mean, I just grew up with him being, and then one day when I started to think about it,
yes, he was there.
And I remember that he held a speech.
Mhm.
It was, I don't know if you remember it. And people that were there said we don't think that he could get money. Because he never did too much of
Speak.
anything.
How did Belzer make a living?
When he worked for Doolittle, they had a lot of money running through their hands, a lot. A lot of it had
What- but what-
Sacramento wine.
But what
I
was
heard.
what was Belzer? Simply a businessman?
His father was a trucker,
Uh-huh.
but himself was before in business with the forest, and then he was a veteran, like to marry all.
That was the only thing that he
License,
did?
that's the only thing he did. And then he had a house and rented that. I don't know if he had a house. Probably had money, I don't
They
know.
had a lot of cash.
That was already his second marriage.
So
You
his
know,
second marriage?
he married Lisa, but
yes,
first he
because all the children,
Well,
Or-
first, oh,
had from the first one.
I used to love her cooking.
Huh?
yeah,
I used to
Jenny?
love her cooking.
yeah. You all live in the same building.
Jenny
Lenny's in
Morris
Broadway.
was the oldest. He worked
No, I know,
in-
but I used to love Mrs. Belger's cooking.
Oh,
I used to love her cookies, and I used to love her kreplach, and
she baked. She was a very good baker.
wonderful.
She had 2 kids.
She had the good-looking guy.
Yeah,
What was his name?
Misha.
Misha, right, Misha.
And And she had the
Jean, not Jean.
No. Jean was his daughter.
No.
I'm talking about Lisa.
I know.
She had that the boy got bitten.
Died, and died. They lived down,
Bitten by what?
they lived in Flatbush. She lived in Flatbush.
Yeah,
They were rich.
that was Jean. Not in Flatbush. She lived very.
She lived not far from the
where
Monastery
your
Rabbi.
in-laws live. Yeah, that's.
Not far from the Monastery
Oh,
Rabbi.
that's called Flatbush.
Yeah, East Flatbush. Her name wasn't Jean?